선수 자체가 다른 리그에 와서 그 언어를 완벽하게 배우고 적응하는 것 자체가 쉽지 않다고 했는데 그걸 되게 쉽게 어렵지 않게 해낸 것 같아서 그 부분이 되게 존경스러운 것 같아요. 저도 그가 했던 거와 같이 빠르게 적응하고 언어도 배워나가겠습니다.
A lot of respect coming from the side of the C9 camp and Summit towards Ssumday as one of the major imports that the LCS has ever seen, right, in terms of his longevity. And of course, there have been ups and downs for him throughout his career. But in general, just what a treat we have ahead of us with this C900 Thieves game to watch these two top players go against each other, Emily.
Yeah, and I like that he brought up the language and cultural stuff specifically because, you know, we just heard from Ssumday in the 100 Thieves like championship feature, and he was like, it was really frustrating for me when I first came because I felt like I had a really good understanding of the game. You know, he was coming over having been one of the best tops, if not the best top in Korea for a time. And then he's like, I felt like I couldn't communicate as well with my teammates until, you know, I acclimated myself and learned the language a lot better. So, you know, to hear that Summit's not only looking at him for performance, but also that is really interesting.
But I just want to also call out how dedicated Ssumday was to that acclimation, right? Because I think that is a big piece of the puzzle. I do remember in those initial splits and seasons that he was here in North America, stories about the number of times he was taking English lessons and the amount of time that he invested in being able to build that system of communication with his team.
Yeah, and I mean, that is always the biggest struggle, especially if you're brought into a team for your experience, like your skill. You expect to be played around at least somewhat. But if you can't explain these ideas, having a tutor and having a translator only goes as far, right? Because once you actually get into the game, then, you're not going to be able to change or, like, really get the ideas that you want across the table. And then, of course, like simple things of like being able to talk to your teammates whenever you want to. Like those things go a long way. And so I love the fact that Ssumday is getting better at it. And I love the fact that we're seeing Summit have aspirations for it.
And just kind of an anecdote about Ssumday, because I feel like people don't necessarily see him as like an outgoing player who's going to talk a ton, like huhi, for example, right, who we saw learn English very quickly. But Ssumday, whenever I was interviewing him when I worked as a journalist, like he would always be like, no, like if it's not a camera interview, like I want to do it in English. And he was really, really good. So he was also just very dedicated. I know he and Sophie used to post like their language lessons on Twitter, which is really cute.
True.
But then also he was really dedicated in like interviews to be like, no, like I really want to learn, like I'm going to go through this. And, major props, like speaking a different language is something that always makes me personally super nervous, and I'm not even on a team.
I mean, and additive to that, Jat, I think is the evidence of how long he's been on this organization.
And
that
also,
to me is a vote of confidence.
Yeah, also he's playing pretty good.
He's also
like, they said, like, I heard that they were going to do a 6-man roster. This is what I heard. It's definitely looking like a 5-man roster.
Get your ears checked.
With how Ssumday is doing. Like, he is playing the carry specifically so well, which honestly is something I haven't seen him do much since he came into the LCS, really.
Right.
So whether it's a motivation of having tenacity right there behind him, whether it's being more comfortable having finally won that LCS championship, or the fact that it's a contract year. I don't know what it is, but he's definitely playing, I think, some of the best he has played in NA.
Yeah, in the previous replay where he gets the triple kill on Tryndamere, where his team's saying, be careful, play back little. He's like, nope, literally in comms. I love that.
How you play Tryndamere?
Just push through. The confidence that he has, the level of play that he's had has been great. So that 6-man roster that I'm sure they were pivoting because he wasn't playing too well last split, not needed. So it's great, like the conversation we're having about like him being in the league for so long, learning the language and all these things, like having it be so easy to be a fan of Ssumday. The payoff is here because he is actually playing to the level that we kind of expect of him.
He's playing tremendous League of Legends, but you know who else is playing tremendous League of Legends is his opponent up there in the top lane for Cloud9. It's Summit. This is a guy who has impressed us very quickly and very early on here in the Spring Split.
It doesn't matter if he's in a supposed losing matchup. He will still find ways to just absolutely destroy you. We expected him to come in, especially based on his time in the LCK, his playstyle with Sandbox as kind of a carry with him and Kroko in the top lane. We expected him to come in and kind of beast it. He has been absolutely phenomenal for this team, creating windows like solo, basically.
And he's been able to do it, as you say, on a lot of losing matchups. The history from what happened yesterday actually goes back to just Champions Q streams. He had perhaps one of the most ridiculous Jace into Gnar games as a whole. Like, not only did he completely destroy, I believe it was Lorlo and lane, he then was just 60 or 70,000 damage to champions in the game, like one-shotting everyone. And then to see him on stage take the other side of that matchup and get 2 solo kills,
win it.
you're like, what the, who is this guy? So
nuts.
it's going to be really fun to continue to watch him in the LCS.
I was just about to say, because a pre-season expectation was that Summit was going to come in as the best, if not top 2, top laners in this league, and it feels like we're getting that now.
I'm happy to see that claim delivered on, right? Regardless of where it came from, the fact that there was so much conversation around expecting Summit to step into the LCS and immediately be the best, if not one of the best, and to see him delivering on that so far. Again, this is going to be a big matchup for the two of them, but also because of who they are both flanked by. It's Blaber on one side, and it's Closer on the other. So as much as I would probably enjoy watching these guys go at it in a 1v1 up there in the top lane, you got to imagine these other two fellas are going to find a way to get involved.
It's not quite how it works. Top lane's a little more complicated than that. And especially early on in the game, the path that the jungler chooses to take dictates so much about how they're allowed to play in the early lane phase. And these are two junglers that have had perhaps some of the most success being really proactive in the early game and actually carrying a lot of games. So Blaber is someone who ended up, I think, getting underrated based on some of his international performances, but he is still as good as ever. And this is always a treat to watch these two go up against each other.
Exactly. Domestically, these are my favorite junglers in terms of just jungle matchup to go up against each other. I mean, now that you've added Inspired and all these things, you can have an added conversation there, but Blaber versus Closer has always just been the matchup for me to watch. Both carry junglers, junglers that oftentimes get a lot of resources funneled into them, and so I expect a little bit of that.
And I'm glad you brought up the jungle path stat, because for as much as we've talked about these two top laners, it feels like whenever we're talking about Summit, we're like, oh yeah, he got this solo kill in a supposed losing matchup. Someday, you know, prior to this year, everyone was just like, oh yeah, 100 Thieves don't play around topside. That's where you can attack them. So what I'm looking for from both of these junglers is where they're going to go, and also how these two teams are going to play against their bot lanes.
Yeah, where are they going? Blaber just walked off stage and came back. Closer's meandering around. I want to see him fight against each other.
Those two
Let's go.
junglers. I was hoping they were going to meet in the middle and give us, you know, a little bit of like a boxing, boxing pose. Yeah, exactly, face to face, right? No, I guess not. Sorry, Raz, you had a point to make.
That was, you know, that's a good question. Just like where are they going? Not just in life, but in game, because at least both of their bot lanes have been struggling a little bit. FBI and huhi, at least in the last series, the last game that they had, were faltering. Berserker and same with Winsome as well. Laning phase has been a little struggle. So they've oftentimes have looked elsewhere. So mid lane is one option, but for sure for 100 Thieves, it's been top lane. So I expect both these teams to have top lane pressure. There's a lot more confidence in how they play around Ssumday now. Rift Trail's been always going towards top lane, but now the follow-up is there and getting Ssumday ahead.
Now, I've been told that we've got your guys' predictions on hand here for this game, so I want to get that thrown up onto the screen as we see the Cloud9 squad circling up. That is a lot of people. Big support staff.
Yeah, and Fudge towering all of them.
We can just reveal all three of them right away, because Raz goes first all the time, and I actually want to go to Jat and Emily on this one. So Raz goes 100 Thieves.
So I'm going to be
Jat's also 100
the
Thieves.
weird one out. Yeah.
So let's start with Emily on Cloud9 then.
The contrarian.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. So I think that this is something I actually flopped. So you know how I was talking in the pre-show meeting we had? I was like, I changed one of my predictions going into today. And this is actually the prediction I changed, because we had to make all of them.
Oh, right. We made you do them. We made you do them the other day. Yeah.
And so I think 100 Thieves in particular, the struggles that they've had compared to how good we know this bot lane is. And then additionally, some of their mid-game stuff, I was like, I'm not really sure, because that's when C9's scaling tends to like kick in. And because 100 Thieves have been, again, relying on more of a front to back I think a lot of the stuff that C9 has picked compositionally will go well into that. I think it's going to be really close, though, so I won't be surprised if
Make the
100
case for 100 Thieves.
Hey, when I look at the way they lost their 2 games, they were both games that were very easily winnable, and they had a slight overforce. And other than that, they won all of their other games, so there's not much negative going there. So I think 100 Thieves is actually better than their 5-2 record would indicate. Not that I think Cloud9 is a weak team, but I think 100 Thieves is second best team in the league.
All right, well, hopefully you agree with all that because we got no time.
Wow.
Sorry, that's what happens when we
You
go
know
the
what?
other way
Here's
around.
my official answer. I agree.
Normally it's Emily in that seat
True,
having me
true.
last on predictions and not getting time. But you know who has some time to talk? Pastry.
Take it away, Pastry.
Thank you very much, Red.
Do I not have
appreciate
time
that.
to talk?
You have a lot of time to talk.
They didn't say I did.
Oh.
I guess you're
I
solo
lost
casting.
time.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I'll do it. It'll be a lot of yelling.
I think you had experience from the remote cast. Didn't you have a couple where like someone?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
I
yeah.
got a lot of experience from solo casting. Don't you worry about that.
No, I mean I think this is going to be a really good game. I'm actually excited with the postponement that happened from yesterday. It pushed this from I don't know if we're supposed to say this. We were not scheduled to cast this game
we were on the
initially.
first 2 games.
We were only going to be the first games. Now there's 6 games today. This got slid onto our plate, and
look
I'm
at
like,
that.
what do you know? We got the best game of the day to cast. So I'm really excited about it. Both these teams coming off a win yesterday. Cloud9 and 100 Thieves both looked really good in those. And as the desk was, talking about and showing the highlights for both Summit and Ssumday, both of them were slapping people yesterday. And so I really hope they both pick a skill matchup. Like I would love to see one of them kind of like get Gwen early. The other one was like, I'm playing the Fiora. I would love to see them actually go down the gauntlet and not like Gnar Graves or something lame, which is like technically a skill matchup, but no one cares.
Imagine on versus any champion.
It's like, oh, you won the matchup and you got like a 10 CS lead. Oh man, you're so good.
Ready for on now fight? It's coming.
No, don't curse us, dude. Don't.
All right, Karma, Caitlyn, Tom, Ken, Zeri going, hey, what a surprise there on the 100
Well, my
Thieves
Gwen
side.
dream's dead already.
That's true. I probably wouldn't give either of these players Gwen, so I respect it as the Vigar ban.
Ooh, interesting.
Going to be taken away from Fudge, who I don't think has played Vigar yet, even though he's popped up a couple times in the LCS.
Not yet, but given the proclivity of Cloud9 to play new things, you could expect that to come through, as well as the fact that, with Corki Victor up, you might want to take the Corki, and then you don't want to get counterpicked. And so it might not even be specifically Fudge that you're worried about, and more about...
Ooh.
Oh, well, interesting. Maybe it's for Ahri. It also leaves up the Hecarim, which is very, very prevalent these days. A great champion for Blaber. We've seen him play Hecarim quite well. I think it was yesterday he even just played it. So looking forward to see what they end up pairing it with. The Ryze, interesting actually. Not seen too, they don't do the same things, I guess is what I'm thinking. Like, you don't enable the Hecarim to go in any easier. You both do kill people very quickly. I guess that's what you can do together.
Certainly so, as a little flash of the scorp there, but it is Lee Sin instead here for closer up against the Hecarim. Jace instantly banned away from Summit.
Understandable, thank you. We have seen the terror of Jace if you watch Lorlo's stream, or you can see his Gnar into Jace just yesterday and how he slammed that one too.
And no Trinimir either. Ssumday gonna lose that one. Nah, yep, get him out of there.
Get all this out. Just as long as it results in a cool matchup, I don't care. There's also interesting with the closer Lee Sin. I'm excited to see that combined with the Ahri. That's a very aggressive mid-jungle combination that they're going to kind of throw the gauntlet down on Fudge.
It's a classic of League of Legends. I mean, those champions haven't changed that much.
No, I mean, you've been playing this since Season 3, Season 2, whenever that started, yeah.
All right, Thresh ban instead here. I like that as well. Obviously, a great pairing with the Jinx, who he perfectly proficient on the champion, but I'm gonna guess if I am 100 Thieves, I'm giving Ssumday yield counterpick here in this particular game. And I'll take something like Leona, because huhi, anything that goes in, thumbs up from huhi.
Yeah, with the Thresh band, you already kind of also mean that's not going to get paired up with the Aphelios. So it's kind of a self-ban a little bit as well, because they can't take the Thresh, but then that also means they can take the Leona and not be scared of the Thresh. So Cloud9 instead going for Alistar for Winsome. Interesting.
You don't see Ali too often, but see how it works out in this one. Obviously not the strongest 2v2 lane.
Well, they got abused by it in the TSM game last week in lane phase, so maybe Winsome played against it, and he's like, wait a minute, this is Alistar champ, not so bad when you get to go in all the time.
All right, well, Graves seems to be a popular blind.
Oh no, at least the Gnar's banned, so he can't get Graves Gnar, but Summit taking a safe blind pick here. Understandable that he doesn't want to, just opt straight into a skill matchup out of nowhere, but we'll see what Ssumday wants to do, because Ssumday is a team-focused champion.
Do it.
I hope he does. Oh, they did! I was so worried. Ssumday Great player, great team-focused player, but sometimes you want him to say, give me the rock, give me the ball, I want to make a play. And he doesn't always do it. So to see him actually lay down the gauntlet against Summit, who a lot of people are saying is potentially the best top laner right now. You have Whippo, you have Summit, you have Ssumday, all trying to make a name for themselves. This is how you make a name for yourself, by slamming the other top dogs.
And realistically, like, what else are you supposed to pick here? Like, Ahri's more of an enabling champion. Jinx and Leona is all about, you know, the mid to late game. And yeah, closest Lee Sin's great, but like, it's not going to take over a game. Like, Hecarim is more of a viable jungle carry than someone like Lee Sin.
Yeah, absolutely. This is an early mid-game oriented draft for 100 Thieves with a lot of playmaking in all 3 lanes, and closers kind of going to have a feast to choose from, a buffet of where do I want to try and find kills. And the onus is on them to find those kills, because I think mid to late game, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, especially if you're doing kind of straight front-to-back team fighting. You're going to be looking for flanks in mid to late game for 100 Thieves, trying to blow up that Aphelios. You know, you have so much dive potential, but if you start falling behind, you have no way to really play slow. So many melee characters, so many characters that want to go in, means that 100 Thieves are kind of all in on making some plays.
Certainly so. And as always, our eyes will be drawn to the top side of the map. Very nice to see Ssumday on a carry with the counter pick in this matchup. Now look, I am not intimately familiar with Graves versus Irelia as a top lane matchup. I'll be the first to admit it. But I'm assuming if you're getting counter pick, surely you cannot also win this lane. Little production jump scare there, huh?
Yeah, I
like it.
I was ready to follow up on an analytical point, and they're like, hype train coming through. Shut up, Mark. Look at this awesome music and light show. All right, back into the game already. I was just going to say that Irelia, with the changes that came in with their W recently, not just being such a magic-focused champion, does a lot better against physical range threats as well now. And so you can blow the Graves up if you can, you know, just get on top of him, land one of those stuns, and get a couple Q charges off. But early game, not probably going to be the case. You know, it's one of those matchups, kind of like we were saying earlier with Camille Nar, where you want a couple levels before you really, you know, activate that kind of counter pick.
All right, well, looks like 100 Thieves just chilling, making sure C9 don't get too aggressive in the early game here. But Cloud9 are holding firm just outside this entrance, but no wards have been committed just yet.
See if they want to go for the invade. They do have a range advantage with the Graves being able to potentially push some people back. Starts with a slow. This is a really nice chunk early on.
Oh yeah, that's big damage on the Abbedagge. And gonna get the ward as well. Yep, Summit is gonna get some vision. And even just stick around. I mean, Ssumday's here, but it's kind of annoying for Closer if he has to deal with this 1v1. Thankfully, his top lane is here alongside him. And Summit knows what's up. Not gonna poke too far forward.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you kind of want to do when you have these range advantages early on. Look for those micro advantages like we were talking about in the TL game. Now make it hard for Ssumday to get through lane, actually has to run through you. Ssumday plays it correctly. Jump on top of him. Don't let him do this like footsie game with you where he plays the range advantage. And because you get into the brush when you do that, it means that he can't kite you out of the brush, because then he'll lose vision of you. So well done by Ssumday getting into the lane there, showing his veteran understanding of how the game will play.
Ooh, Winsome tried to predict that, but huhi actually just airballed that Zenith played. But I do like the attempt there for Winsome, trying to keep huhi honest here in the early stages of this one. As is always the case with Leona, you do not get out once you go in, and hey, look! Berserker gonna get attacked here, but nice little trade back for Winsome there, as Berserker gonna let some shots rip into the enemy support.
Definitely a advantageous matchup for the Leona early on. You get a little bit tankier, easier than the Alistar does. If you go in right away, you do have to be careful about getting knocked up and chain stunned and whatnot, but very, very easy for you, especially taking the Aftershock, prioritizing individual tankiness over the, I missed something? The Glacial Augment.
Nah, just, I couldn't tell if it was a sideways compliment or a backhand one. It was a real mid laner and Abbedagge was called.
Definitely an insult at Abbedagge, saying that Fudge, the role swap mid laner, is the real one.
And honestly, like, that's something that we kind of forget about, because, you know, at this point, Fudge is just a mid laner at this point, but he was very good at top lane. So for C9 to be like, you know what? I think we can do better. And also, I think you can be good at mid lane is quite a bold move, but Summit's certainly paying off Fudge's role swap in that regard as well.
Yeah, I think also Fudge's game yesterday was really good on the Ahri, finding a lot of kills, finding a lot of setup, putting him in a more traditional mid lane matchup. Ahri is still a more proactive champion, not quite the zone control focus of control mage, which I think speaks to his playstyle. Even Ryze top was meta for a while. I'm sure, you know, Fudge has played Ryze somewhat, not the specific mid lane matchups necessarily, but understanding the champion, how to play him, how to side lane with him in the mid to late game are things that, you know, you can kind of carry over from the role swap.
Well, back down to the bottom side of the map, it is FBI and huhi continuing to get ahead early as expected. Has been pretty quiet for the junglers, which is definitely going to be a good time for Blaber, but Closer really doesn't mind too much. There hasn't been a whole lot happening. You know, Fudge is getting some push happening, Summit's getting some push happening, but Underneath dancing back in the bottom side. Top lane looks like some fireworks. Ssumday getting aggressive. W Pop's going to force the flash.
Someone ending up on the wrong side there. I wonder if there was a fake recall I might have missed that was why he was on the flip side of the Irelia trying to kite down. But nice flash force by Ssumday, already getting that advantage in your pocket. Like we said, it's just going to become more and more threatening as the lane phase goes on, especially with Closer now knowing, aha, no flash top. I know where I want my first ganks to go.
Yep, even Fudge actually roaming up here is going to get spotted, but Closer's also here. This is a 2v2 the 100 Thieves might not mind, but I do like Fudge's early presence.
It's a little scary given that Ssumday has not got his reset off yet. You're behind on items and current HP, so I think 100 Thieves are going to slow play this one and kind of waste Fudge's time.
You can see Ssumday not getting too aggressive, Wing the minion. Actually doesn't even connect with too many of them. Just trying to keep the wave low, but leave C9 lulled in if they do want to get aggressive, and Fudge completes the recall, mostly just covering there, it looked like.
Yep, getting his reset off now. Ahri as well getting the reset, TPing back to lane. Fudge looking like he's going to just hoof it.
Yeah, Blaber was there briefly as well, so, you know, a little bit of continued role swapping there for Fudge. Just trades back, jungling slightly there as Blaber takes the mid farm, but at the end of the day, just a nice little exchange here as Summit, more than anything, just needs coverage here to keep pushing on because he wants to be aggressive. Bottom side, though, it's aggressive. Blaber going through. FBI absolutely dead, and it's first blood out for Winsome.
All right, showing the power of the Alistar there, being able to just flash on top of a person for an instant knockup and then get the kill. Well done by Winsome there, and attacking one of the few places that 100 Thieves are more vulnerable in the early game. The Jinx has no protection, not just in the lane phase, but for this entire game. No one will ever be able to keep this Jinx alive as she starts falling behind and keeps getting dove atop of like that.
Yep, and FBI had flash, and it just didn't matter as Ssumday running low on mana, hasn't TP'd back, by the way, so somebody's like, what are you doing? I have a Phage and you have a shield. I'm happy to win this fight, but Closer is the reason that Ssumday is getting so aggressive. The stun connects. Closer with the easiest Q of his life, but can't quite get the kill just yet. Ward hops over Summit. Good ulti, but Closer follow flashes. That's the kill for the 100 Thieves jungler.
Yeah, I guess that's what he's doing. He's baiting Summit into overstaying. Now Abbedagge in trouble.
Beautiful wrap here in mid, but Abbedagge with a very fancy flash to get to safety.
All right, Blaber answering the call. One thing I love about Blaber's champions is sometimes whenever he plays these things, I'm like, oh, they take a little bit earlier to get going, or they're not great
heavy.
Yeah, they're farm heavy. They're not great gankers in the early game. Blaber is still always able to find plays. He is one of the best early game junglers North America's ever seen. I would argue the best, because of this reason. On champions that you don't always find opportunities so early into the game, whether that's because he works well with his laner setting that up, finding these angles, or just being willing to take riskier fights, Blaber always finds a way to impact the early game.
Yeah, feels like a combination of both. Definitely in this game, credit to both Winsome and Fudge for helping set up those situations that got them a kill in bottom lane, got them first blood in fact, got some pressure there for Fudge, who's still feeling pretty good.
It's important that they do this too, because we're talking about 100 Thieves probably having the better early game playmaking team, being able to, you know, have a little bit more control early on potentially, and not backing down, not just saying, oh, well, we'll just try and scale and withstand it, but like we're going to find our own opportunities when we have the time to. So good job, like you said, by the laners of C9 as well, not just playing scared of this potential Lee Sin pressure or whatever.
Yeah, I think people, you know, think scaling and they immediately think time, but scaling really means gold, right? You're capped by how much money you have because items are expensive when they're late game items. But if you just get gold early, Mark, it's easy peasy.
Yeah, just get more gold, forehead.
Exactly.
Very good advice by Pastrytime. As we see, Flash still not up for Summit, and you can see he's just trying to push the wave in and back away. Definitely a little scared. Looks like Ssumday is rushing the Blade of the Rune King first item, which makes a lot of sense. You take some harass in the matchup, you get to sustain a little bit better, as well as a lot of damage when you get multiple Q procs in a row. Really can rip through a health bar quickly. So that's probably what he was greeting out for, was a better purchase. Ends up going double dagger Vamp Scepter, but maybe he was looking for a different part of the build.
All right, well, Closer continuing to be active here. Sneaking through mid. Abbedagge over a ward is going to tip off Summit in the top half of the Rift. But maybe trying to double back here in the Fudge. Abbedagge again spotted. Closer, I don't think was seen on that ward.
Yeah, Closer might not have been, but Abba was.
Yeah.
So you can just see that both teams have done a good job of warding out where they think enemies are going to try to get to. There was that time where Fudge made that roam up top, and Ssumday kind of baited that situation out. Now they're trying to sneak this Rift Herald, going over the pit, and just let people keep playing.
Oh,
Actually,
no, they're
gank.
going for top. Almost finds it there. Good ult from Ssumday, but Closer doesn't connect on the Q.
Observer's messing with me too now.
Abbedagge, though, now in trouble. Blaber's got ulti, kicks him back. Abbedagge low, huhi diving back in. Blaber forced to ulti out, and Closer follows the Q and shuts it down. Fudge now trying to get out there. Wilmore out to safety. A neat little trick for 100 Thieves, still with the kill.
huhi getting there just slightly faster than Winsome. Both teams having the exact same idea, but that extra bit of CC and damage allowed them to finish off Blaber, but C9 might not be done yet.
Yeah, Fudge gets the blue, but at what cost? Charm there onto Winsome. Doesn't have the ulti, popped it already. And now the ulti out from Jinx isn't going to connect, but Winsome's still dead. No, not yet. Berserker lets it rip, and Summit turns it back around, finds himself a double kill. A third there goes to Fudge's C9 sweep through 100 Thieves.
I thought C9 were crazy sticking around to contest that, even with Berserker moving in, but they actually want to contest one. Red buff on Summit makes it hard for FBI to take that fight. Both end up backing away there, but C9 showing that they're not going to get bullied off these objectives. They wanted to take that fight. Berserker coming in late was so important. So here's the huhi getting there first in the play. I don't know if they saw that he snuck in there. Might have been just out of range. Gets this CC and damage, even through Unstoppable, just contributing to that kill. Allows Closer to get that first one. And then Fudge, nice footwork there to make sure that the Realm Warp actually went off. And from here, I think they're stacking it, even though both AD carries are in the mid lane. I didn't think that they would actually re-engage this, but they know there's not that many abilities up left for 100 Thieves here, and Fudge critically does not get charmed there. Winsome tanks a lot of the damage and skill shots that were heading for Fudge with his ultimate on, so even though Winsome ends up living there, he played that to the absolute perfect amount, you know, with like 50 health left, and it allows Berserker to get some damage over the wall, Summit to collapse. Super well done by Cloud9 to contest that one and actually grab a 2,000 gold advantage.
Yeah, huge early game lead for Cloud9, which again is not the script we expected coming out of draft. It was 100 Thieves you expect to be a bit more aggressive, but it is C9 with the early game advantage. Rift Herald though going to 100 Thieves, that is good news. As C9 are now trying to contest with this blue buff. Fudge already getting things pushing. C9 just taking over the side of the Rift, but Closer's coming through. It is going to be a 4v4 shortly. Blue buff though, stolen by Blaber. Ulti out from Leona. Chums onto Winsome. Winsome ulti pops again. Blaber going back through. Winsome low, but the flash is out of the Jinx ulti. Now Blaber back through. Berserker takes out huhi. It's Closer. Lowers Berserker. Frontlining there for the team. Abbedagge with the gravity gun on, but will not be rooted.
Looked like they thought Winsome might not have had his ult yet. I think they were trying to see if they could get that kill before his ult came back up. Not able to do it. Winsome lives through that one. Maybe a missed timing on the cooldown of the Alistar ultimate, but another time where Winsome baits a lot of damage onto himself and allows his team to turn, and the gold lead just keeps growing for Cloud9.
Yeah, and obviously Summit feeling pretty good, get that double kill in the earlier exchange, but Berserker's been the other big winner of this now 3,000 gold lead that Cloud9 have. Still haven't dropped the Herald yet. Oh no, sorry, the other team has the Herald. Never mind, can't do that. It is 100 Thieves that will be able to use that to close some of the gap, but Gale Force done already for Berserker, who is just ready to take over on Aphelios once again.
Yeah, and Summit, with how the lane wasn't going great initially, has since recovered, grabbed a lot of kills, and got an early hull breaker, which is allowing him to actually grab control back in this matchup. You are going to have such a pushing advantage. You already have a small pushing advantage. Now it's substantially stronger, especially since Ssumday has slowed down a little bit on rushing that Blade of the Rune King. He doesn't really have that all-in threat until he really gets that because of how many resist and defensive properties come with that hull breaker.
Huhi actually roamed up here, but Summit's kind of playing with him. Like, hit recall a couple times. Huhi's going to leave. Looks like Ssumday's going to reset as well, and Summit's back to business.
Yep, well done by Summit there, wasting a lot of time from the opponent. And what's really interesting right now is how flexible the lane assignments are. A lot of the time at this point in the game, 12 minutes, you would not see AD carries going mid. You would not see Ryze's bottoms, Ahri's bottom. But because you have 4 champions, each of the solo laners, being relatively safe in side lanes, you can get a lot of these interesting lane setups. And both teams have done an intelligent job adapting to that and respecting that. Because when your AD carries mid, it means that it's more likely that your support is going to end up in top lane or something like that. And I think Summit showed an understanding of, hey, this is a weird game. I got to be really careful when I push.
Well, 100 Thieves playing catch up a little bit. Still have plenty to lean on here. They have a dragon if they want to go and try and take it, but it is Cloud9's vision right now that takes over that portion of the map. It does seem like Cloud9, though, are lining up a play onto Ssumday, trying to support Summit in his pushing efforts in the top side of the map, but a lot of back and forth right now as 100 Thieves are poking around, trying to grab some gold back for themselves.
Yeah, a lot of ults and flashes have come back up since that Rift Herald fight. You see this kind of attempt to get some gold in Abbedagge's pocket. I like this because he's not hard losing on Ahri, but Ahri is a champion who's not going to do a ton of damage in the game. She's supposed to get kills and get ahead of the pace of the game and then build a lot more utility-focused items and, you know, the Everfrost, and you're going to rely on your playmaking to find kills rather than I'm going to blow you up 100-0 kind of situation. And so getting some gold potentially in her pocket, I think she was in range for that Rift Herald gold, is good to keep her moving. Probably going CDR boots, maybe pen boots. We'll have to see. Some people go the Shadow Flame pen boots build. You can also go the cooldown reduction one, so we'll see what she ends up picking up here. But just making sure that your Ahri doesn't fall behind the pace of the game, because once she does, she just becomes a charm bot. She's totally ignorable, and so you're not trying to accelerate her ahead of the game. You're trying to keep her relevant right now, I think, with that Rift Herald usage.
Yeah, and you can see everyone needs gold 100 Thieves right now. You can see C9 topping the charts very comfortably there on the gold, and Cloud9 will go ahead and scoop up this dragon as Summit actually roams down to mid lane briefly. Abbedagge potentially in trouble. Good Everfrost though to defensively push Fudge away. But that is all the space Cloud9 need to finish off the objectives. And to 100 Thieves' credit, looks like they weren't really going to contest anyway.
No, I think that they knew they were weaker at this point in the game. A lot of those boot purchases are pretty substantial, actually, when you're having multiple members with Merc Shreds and these things, and your team's still on tier 1s. It can actually be hard to chase down people and these kinds of things. So I think they just want to get a little bit further down their build pass before they take another fight against C9.
Summit, though, just going at it again, but not going to chase too far forward. Clearing the wave, getting some poke as Fudge will also answer here. It's just constant pressure in these side lanes. It's so annoying with how quickly Graves and Ryze push these minion waves that you just constantly feel like you're having to catch waves instead of, like, picking off the enemy, which is kind of what you want to be doing with your Ahri.
And I think that's a great adaptation by Cloud9 to get out of standard lanes as fast as they could. I think the AD carriers were already in them like 11, 10 minutes in the game. You know, like, this is C9 understanding, like, we don't really want to just play a normal game where closers running around between the lanes trying to find kills. It's a lot more spread out of a map when you put your solo lanes in the opposite side lanes right away. It's harder to get around if you want to go, oh, well, let me try and get my Ahri up to my Irelia to make a play. Like, you can't do that now except with teleport. And so, in that sense, spreading the map out by Cloud9 was really intelligent, I think.
Yeah, and it's a little thing. We talk a lot about Summit's great mechanics. His end-of-line placement to kill the wave as soon as possible. It's a little thing. It's, I'm sure, something all the Graves players know, but it's a treat to watch because all the little minions just evaporate.
Yeah, they die pretty quick. Summit now calling some resources up here, wants to finish off this turret, but 100 Thieves are lurking around.
Well, they know, but now 100 Thieves know. Closer with a Q misses, but Blaber's here as well. Huhi FBI, though, on the other side, is it's going to be a 4v3 for 100 Thieves if they want to take it, but Cloud9 being very patient here.
I know you know, both teams know, and it favors the Graves who gets to sit in front of the turret and let the Hullbreaker do some damage there. Try and get some more chip down onto it. Should be able to take that one away quickly, so even though it didn't result in a kill or anything, still ends up a C9 advantaged play.
Wow, we're out of there. Oh, goodness! All right, that's an angle I've not seen before. Ssumday going to be the target, but Summit's up here as well. But Blaber just gets deleted by Ssumday. Summit now stunned. 100 Thieves. This is what they were looking for. Abbedagge swoops in to get a kill. The Jinx rocket goes a little wide as Fudge will rescue Winsome with the Realm Warp, but that went south swiftly for Cloud9.
I do not know what Blaber thought he saw in that play. He thought maybe someone was in the brush and was trying to get on top of them right away, but he just whiffed his ultimate and then ended up between two turrets. Summit had not finished it off yet, and Closer was in position to punish that horrendous 2v2 that they just took. Bad timing for it too, because yeah, you finish off the turret, but this will allow 100 Thieves to get their second Rift Herald of the game. That's a pretty substantial gold deficit that they're in, but have been able to control these objectives and keep it close. Otherwise, Cloud9 potentially could have ran away with this game.
Yeah, some bounties for 100 Thieves to collect. You can see those glowing turrets in top and bottom lane. Actually, mid lane too. They're all available. 3 towers to 0 is nice for Cloud9. They did get the mid tower out of that exchange as well, but I mean, that looked like a gap close Hecarim ulti to me, which is a pretty rare one.
That's an interesting call, given that, you know, both teams had been around that area. I just went back and rewatched it. I think you're right that he was just trying to hop the wall and get on top of the Irelia, but
which he did.
He did technically, but he also allowed the Lee Sin to get on top of him. So just Blaber getting a little too aggressive. I was hyping up his proactivity in the early game and how aggressive he is, and then this is the other side of Blaber that comes with that. Sometimes he takes a fight maybe he shouldn't have.
All right, well, Cloud9 docked a couple points, lose a little bit of gold in the exchange. Are now only up 2,500 gold in this early game, but a small misstep, hopefully, for Blaber and the rest of Cloud9 as they look to take down the Thieves. As a reminder, these two teams are tied in the standings. It's a little wonky right now with who's in first because if one of our teams tied for first hasn't played their game for Friday yet. We'll, of course, see that today for FlyQuest.
Yeah, it's a really tight race at the top of the standings for the LCS right now. You can argue any of the 4 teams are at the top. I think a lot of people expect Team Liquid to be the best, but without Core JJ here, it's allowing a little bit more nuance to the conversation, who can join them as well. It's a super tight, interesting race at the top of the table for the LCS right now.
Yeah, and again, I think these two teams well and truly in the conversation for seconds. Obviously, winning here makes that a lot better as far as your chances for claiming higher standings goes.
Ooh, what's interesting here, objective bounties are available. Usually you see these a little bit later with a more substantial gold lead, but with the 2 dragons that Cloud9 got and a couple turrets in their favor already, 3, it's actually enabled these. So while the gold lead isn't super massive, they're actually going to get a lot of gold back in their favor now for 100 Thieves, cutting that down from about 2.5k gold lead to 1.5.
Yeah, almost 1,000 off there. Pretty good deal there for 100 Thieves. Charm on the Blaber, Everfrost follows. Winsome here with the counter engage as Summit is the one in the shrubbery. Now Winsome going back through. It's Fudge rooting down huhi, who's really caught out of position, but Winsome's ulti's going to wear off. huhi does die. Winsome, though, is going to be the trade, so both supports down.
huhi got me scared there with how far forward he went in, but he had the stopwatch. He knew what he was doing. He was buying space for the rest of his team there, able to trade out the supports. And a couple more ults used, it looks like, potentially. Actually, more used on the Cloud9 side. So 100 Thieves feel confident moving down and starting this Hex Dragon off.
Here comes Summit, though. TP's back instantly now, trying to run the pinch. Great little smoke screen there, but Ssumday's going to try and interfere. Now Summit steps forward there. Ssumday trying to go for the 1v1, but Summit looking decent. Abbedagge is going to go in with the flash. Doesn't connect the charm. Summit fighting with Ssumday. Gets the end of that as Berserker runs down FBI. So now a 3v3 as Fudge is tying up the rest of 100 Thieves, and they're on the wrong side of the rift. Here's Winsome, Hex Flash in, locks up one only. Charm onto another. There is huhi's joined with a Hex Cage back through, and 100 Thieves, I think they're turning it back around. It's Ssumday that gets him, but Berserker finds himself with yet another kill. Blaber and Abbedagge going for it, but Berserker finds a double, make it 3 on the play at the end of it all as Cloud9 are going to win that exchange.
Cloud9 come out ahead. Hex Gates coming up big, though, for 100 Thieves. huhi showing up, allowed FBI to get out alive. The Dragon's still up. Looks like that's going to go over to Cloud9. No way for 100 Thieves to contest this one. What a crazy fight that ended up being, and C9 are going to get back in the driver's seat of this game after stumbling a little bit from that top play. Onto their 3rd Dragon already, getting up against Soul Point here. So this is the situation. The TP flank coming in by Ssumday. I thought this was a little aggressive because of how much mobility and playmaking there is on the side of 100 Thieves who just turn onto him. But he does a good job of kiting that out and allowing Fudge and Berserker and Blaber to find FBI. And he does enough damage back. Closer and FBI are getting chunked out. Berserker is just so aggressive on the Aphelios, just jumping in as much as he can, basically 3-hitting him while stacking those chakrams up. And once he dies, it's still a 3v3, but Fudge is so much healthier. Berserker's so much healthier. They have to kite out. Here I thought, oh my god, it's a 4v3, but look at huhi flying in from the Hex Gate, just coming in to try and contribute. Doesn't actually turn the fight around, you know, but still interesting to see how the different rifts can affect how these fights progress, because otherwise I think Abbedagge would have been focused down and killed a little bit easier. This gets Closer and Abba out for the self-sacrifice by huhi. Goes right back to the death chamber.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Gates are still open. You can go back in for a 3rd round if he wants. It's like a max food fight. Like, up 200, back to 100, everyone back to 200. huhi zooming on back in. Only boomers will get that reference.
I didn't get it. I wasn't going to say it until you mentioned it.
Unfortunate. It's okay.
My bad.
That's okay. Cloud9 still up. On Soul Point, too. And this Soul's pretty good, as it turns out.
Yeah, this will be pretty helpful for their team. They have a small range advantage, you know, so when you have these slows from the chaining lightning, allowing you to kite out 100 Thieves, dive a little bit better potentially, as well as just more damage and stuff. Feels pretty good, as well as the CDR on your item or your abilities. Ability haste coming in big.
Everfrost there from Abbedagge, trying to run interference, but Cloud9 has taken over the 100 Thieves jungle. Ssumday trying to trade back, does have the TP ready. But C9 definitely interested in this Baron half of the Rift right now.
They want to see how 100 Thieves tries to navigate this part of the game. We were building it up like they had the better early game. They want to try and snowball, find a big lead. I think, obviously, that did not go to plan. But from here, it's about how can you adapt and find advantages. They're trading out. The Irelia, super strong. Ssumday has had a great game. He's now at 2 items. He's 4, 1, and 2. On the flip side, Berserker, probably the person you wanted to kill the most anyways, has all the gold. He's 4-0-4. He's the biggest threat. And so this dive comp from 100 Thieves moving forward in this game for team fights and stuff is about finding flanks, finding ways to blow up Berserker at the beginning of them. There is still a lot of damage from C9's side, so it's not like all or nothing on Berserker, even if he does get killed. If he drops a lot of damage down, it allows the Ryze and the Graves and the Hecarim to clean up. But that is, I think, what 100 Thieves need to be paying attention to around this sole point in 2 minutes. I think it'll be relatively slow pace until then because both teams can match the side waves pretty well with their 1-3-1s. And it's about when the dragon's spawning, can you get vision down? Can you find angles? Can you force Berserker into uncomfortable positions so that you can actually get 100-0 out right away? Because if it's not 100-0, Aphelios does a lot of damage very quickly.
Yeah. Don't think you can win any fight where Berserker has significant involvement. And I know with all like the fun chanter stuff that Cloud9 were doing early on, Berserker a lot of credit for like pushing forward on Aphelios, which makes sense because like you have so many shields, you can feel fairly safe. Turns out Berserker just does that.
Yeah, Berserker and Winsome are very good mechanical players, and I think the only place they had struggled was maybe potentially communication during the laning phase with the rest of the team. But this game has been incredible by Winsome, actually. He's been all over the map. He's been where he needs to be. He's been playing the front line extremely well in a pretty difficult position, and you can see the benefit. He's 1-1-7. He's been all over the map, having near 100% kill participation. And same for Berserker. You know, he's the one kind of reaping the rewards when your support's playing well. He's gotten super fed.
Pretty good little combination there. You can see it's dark around the Baron because 100 Thieves are setting a trap. They want to check it, but Blaber with good diligence first off. Spots the people in the brush there, but Closer going in, looks for the kick, doesn't find Berserker. That is too far forward. Closer is going to give it yet another kill. And Berserker's now unstoppable. Fudge going forward, but 100 Thieves giving one away there.
Oh, Closer thought he saw some angle, but it was a little brute force. Felt like it was right up the gut for C9 there, and not able to find the kickback on the priority target. Gets interrupted there by Winsome a little bit. Maybe that's what stopped the combo from being as clean as he wanted. And goes down. That means it's an easy Baron start for C9. No smite available for the enemy.
TP in, Ssumday doesn't cancel, but he TP's in instead. Charm lands on the front line. Huhi going back through. Can they keep going? FBI does flash out of the way, but Summit's already taken out Huhi. That's one kill they need, but Berserker's still alive. And if Berserker's alive, you cannot win the fight. C9 still dominating.
C9 do get forced off the Baron, though, chunked low enough for 100 Thieves to cause it to be an even fight, or not even fight, excuse me, but force off the Baron. But that means that they can actually flip their control down to the bot side now. They realm warp down to the river with Dragon spawning in 2 seconds. They should be able to grab this one freely. Don't think there's any way for Closer to get onto the rift and try and smite steal this.
Yeah, Closer's here, the Hex Gates are open, but nothing Closer can do. There's plenty of DPS with that Aphelios here on the Cloud9 side, so they will take the Hextech Soul.
Yeah, that's a huge win still for Cloud9. Forced off the Baron, but still coming out way ahead. Finding the kills, finding that objective now means that when they do set up on the Baron, which should be their next priority, it's going to be a lot harder for 100 Thieves because if they get tagged with any ranged ability, suddenly it's an easy turn for Cloud9 and engage.
Well, there is one goal. We'll talk about it in a moment here as we watch this Baron defense here for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, this is a situation where Summit gets chunked out right away, but then gets behind Winsome, who again is just going to be this big, beefy cow in the way. Huhi goes in, and they're going to kill him fairly easily. Blaber's also buying a lot of protection for the rest of his team, and you know, the Irelia just gets deleted if she gets focused down without any setup from the rest of her team. So while he went in to find that cleanup kill on the Winsome, definitely sacrificed himself to do so.
Yeah, and you can see Berserk's numbers only going up here in this game, almost level 16 as well. As C9 are right back to Baron. Blaber is like, I see these wards, I'll figure them out later. In fact, I don't care. I don't even see them. Oh, they're off. That's why. There's a control ward there. It's
yeah,
okay,
well, I think they saw a lot of people down the bot river here, so 100 Thieves are in a bad spot.
Blaber goes in, Closer goes down, Berserker is godlike, and C9 are back to Baron. Now 100 Thieves don't have a jungler.
Yeah, they're going to just go reforce back onto the Baron here. I think 100 Thieves are trying to set up a shadow play in the bot lane where you have both solo laners together, and C9 saw that they were not in position and just forced on the Baron and picked off Closer. Now they're going to start it again.
All right, you have to kill Berserker. That is the only way this game, well, this fight is going to be remotely close. You haven't done that yet. You've given the team the Baron as Winsome tries to find the angle, but it's just so much CC as Huhi's locked up forever. And Berserker has gone legendary. Fudge just goes straight onto FBI, shuts that down as Ssumday will escape, but Cloud9 keep on rolling.
Speedy boy Fudge there running right past those traps, finds the kill onto FBI. 100 Thieves get taken apart. Adept contest, and now 7,000 gold in the favor of Cloud9. They got the Soul, they got the Baron. They're probably going to get this game in the next 2 minutes.
Yep, just pushing on through. Summit fancies himself a 1v1. Quick draws back in onto Abbedagge. That is a lot of damage. Summit's going to do it. The charm isn't enough, and Summit keeps on going. Last shell straight into the back of Abbedagge's brain.
Oh my god, brutal. Takes him out. C9 also grabbed the turret in the top side. Fudge fancies a fight.
Oh goodness, that's quite a bit maneuver. Gonna cost him a couple years as Blaber goes back through. It's huhi here as well, but Fudge already got the kill. Blaber gets the second huhi's like, I'm out of here. I don't like any of this as the Realm Warp's gonna move Fudge closer. Blaber low on mana, chasing on to huhi, but Fudge has got plenty of mana in reserve as huhi's gonna go down as well.
Fudge knowing the limits of the Ryze. Like I said, has some more experience with it as a former top laner, able to bait 100 Thieves into thinking that was an overstay, but he is so fed at this point in the game. 5, 1, and 10. 3 items completed. There's no way with how tanky he is for the Irelia to chew through that entire health bar. So hard. The only magic damage threat is the Ahri, and like we said, she didn't really get off the ground this game, and so very, very effective game for the tank Ryze.
Absolutely. As you can see, Cloud9 up to now 10,000 gold ahead. A minute 20 left on this Red Bull Baron buff to look to seal this game. They don't have any inhibitors open just yet. That's going to be fixed in very short order.
They should be able to grab them. There was a little bit of time wasted, you could argue, with finding all those cleanup kills, but, you know, with an 11,000 gold lead, you can play with your food a little bit.
Summit just melee range into the turret. Hextech Soul means he takes a tower shot, but the newly bought Bloodthirster and that shield dome means he doesn't really care. And he's opened up one avenue of attack. Fudge is doing the same on the top side, and Cloud9 are strolling on through to the bottom lane. As 100 Thieves gonna have to defend something, but C9 are gonna make it awfully challenging.
Yeah, you have Fudge off screen in the top side. Just grab that inhibitor turret. Only one left alive is the bot lane.
And now Ssumday getting the ulti going through, but it's a 2v1. Ssumday's not winning that exchange any day. Already one kill for Summit, who he now caught again in the front side and killed by Summit as Ryze CC comes through. Closes with a decent kick, but it's just not enough as Berserker going on a rampage through the back of the team, trying to find the ace. Last shot's good. That's the game for Cloud9. They will move to 6 wins and take down 100 Thieves.
Cloud9 claw their way to the top of the table, tying Team Liquid at the first place, pending the results of the FlyQuest game. We'll have to see. And this was such a good game from Cloud9. Every single member had moments in this game where they stepped up. It was Blaber making some plays in the early game, Winsome making a lot of plays as well, Fudge, Summit, and Berserker being the recipients of all that gold, and then in the late game, you see them mowing people down.
We even got some vintage Blaber as well. The good and the bad.
You got one play. There was one play. You know what?
This one.
If you're going to give me 5 good plays and 1 bad one, that is a ratio I will take. Very happy with that performance by Cloud9. You can see it on their faces. Feeling good. 2-0 so far this weekend. They are looking really hot. I know a lot of people were concerned about this team after the departure of LS. What's their future going to look like? Are they even going to be fun to watch, let alone are they going to be good? And I think all those answers have been answered so far this weekend with a resounding yes.
Absolutely. Wasn't even the Summit show this time, although he did play very well. That was a really fun lane to watch, even in Blind Pick Graves territory. But FBI and huhi could not get off the ground. Berserker and Winsome running the show, especially in the mid game. Like the 2v2 was like, yeah, whatever. It's a 2v2. Nothing much is happening there.
Yeah, and as much as I liked the Irelia counter pick, and it got kind of fed, it didn't seem to be able to do too much in the mid to late game. It was hard to get through the Alistar, and I can't necessarily fault Ssumday though, because Closer I think had a bit of an off game. Didn't find too many plays in the early game, and then mid to late got picked off in some of the attempts that he was looking for. So I think for 100 Thieves, there's a lot of things that they can look to improve for that game. Still clearly one of the top teams, but I think Cloud9 has potentially asserted themselves as the second best or best team in the league, pending Team Liquid when Core JJ comes back.
And I think the nice thing is, like, yeah, there's all this, all this good insurance for the Cloud9 side. They're clearly wanting to play 5v5s, clearly happy to play later. This was a lot more early game aggression than you might have expected out of this comp, especially given the resistance they're facing in the early game.
Yeah, I thought, well, given the Hecarim versus the Lee Sin and the Ahri, I was like, oh, that's going to be a tough mid-jungle 2v2 to contest. Maybe they'll try and scale a little bit more, but Cloud9 showed that, we can fight at any point. Like, we have the players, we have the talent, we can actually pull this off. And that was what impressed me, I think, the most this game, was not backing down from the challenge, because, 100 Thieves drafted to challenge them.
Right. And again, I will just keep thinking in my mind, Berserker's a melee player. That's the only thing I'm thinking of. Like, it's very aptly chosen ID. because he just goes in. I mean, when you're playing Aphelios, you have like 15 chakrams rotating around you. It makes sense.
I have known, we've seen Berserkers, Aphelios. We know it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
This was confirmation of something I already knew.
Good.
I think the thing that I was most happy to see for Cloud9 was Winsome having a really good game on a different champion than we've seen him play so far. I think his Alistar was low-key, not the best player in the team, but like low-key a hero in a lot of those fights where he was the one that was absorbing a ton of damage, like that Rift Herald one early game.
Yeah, definitely a good look there. But it's now time to meet up with Blaber and LeTigress, who are on stage for a Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you, Pastrytime. I am joined by Blaber, a C9 victory in which you never dropped the gold lead the entirety of the time. Did this feel like domination, or do you feel there was some difficulty, though? Because some of the fights did look tight in the mid-game.
No, I think we had a better draft, and we also played better than them. I think it was only close because I made that one mistake top lane when I went on Irelia and got my team killed, and then we lost Herald, right? But I think besides that, it felt pretty good.
And based on the draft that you just mentioned, it felt like 100 Thieves should have been a bit more of the aggressors, but it was Cloud9 that we saw making those proactive plays. Why do you feel that you were all empowered to play with that level of proactivity?
I mean, personally, I think Hecarim's just really overpowered. And I mean, I guess it doesn't seem like it in a lot of the games, but I feel like the champ is just really strong right now, and it allows you to make a lot of proactive plays because you clear faster than the other junglers that want to make plays, and you're very scary gank-wise too. So you're just able to do a lot of things.
Now, a lot of fans in general, they've been looking at Cloud9. Oh, what are they going to look like from here on out? But it does say a statement to take down 100 Thieves, and until we have the FlyQuest games means that you have secured that top spot, rather. Do you feel any kind of breath of relief or any ability to prove the ability of you and the team?
Not really, honestly. I feel like we were always considered one of the better teams, and I feel like we are one of the best teams right now. Hard to tell, right? Because, well, Core hasn't really been playing with TL, so it's hard to really tell who's the best, I would say. But FlyQuest are also looking strong, so I'm looking forward to playing against them tomorrow.
Yeah, Cloud9 looking good. FlyQuest we haven't seen yet this weekend because they have their 2 back-to-back games later. I know Fudge even kind of giving a nod in that direction during his interview. Do you feel that they are a contender towards the top?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say they are. I mean, they've been a lot of the top teams, I would say. And I think they've been playing pretty well. So I definitely think like this week will probably prove like if they do well this week, then they go 8-1. I mean, I'm sure they're probably the best team in the league.
Yeah, well, we definitely look forward to when y'all face off against one another. Thank you for the interview, Blaber.
No problem.
C9 looking good. Let's talk more about it. Head on over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you so much, LeTigress. There's always something so refreshing about the nonchalance in the way that Blaber can talk about very impactful moments in the game. That moment I got my whole team killed, and then it's like, wait, what?
He's been through a lot.
Yeah, that's actually very true. The guy has had some ups and downs, has been the target of some big criticism in the past, but this time around, it's Cloud9 who comes out on top over 100 Thieves. Looking pretty good. Emily, I'm going to come to you
I'm glad I
first.
flopped my prediction.
Yeah.
Got the predictions
that one.
I will say this. It did not happen the way I thought it would happen.
Okay.
Because what actually did end up happening was that C9 were quite proactive in the early game, and they actually did take a lead. I do like their composition here. I think it is really strong in team fighting specifically, and it's exactly what they've piloted previously. But then I also think that, Blaber was talking about Hecarim, who we think of as a scaling champion and how strong he is. But he was talking about his gank setup. And I thought we saw that when he did go bot side, Winsome and Berserker did set up really well for him to go down there. So it just speaks to improving communication on the team. And we talked about that bot lane as possibly a weak point. So it was nice to see not only them playing super well, but also like Blaber working really well with them early.
Yeah, and it's a great bounce back from the previous week. I know a lot of drama happened in the previous week, and the games themselves were just really rough from C9's perspective. But this has just been a great bounce back, and I feel like a lot of it has been off the back of just Summon's performance. Berserker for sure had a humongous one here. Now this one's interesting. So C9 were ahead in gold, and then this mistake was being made from Hecarim. And I was just really confused that 100 Thieves, instead of committing towards the Herald, then tried to swap and then go for a blue buff and added engage here. that they ended up getting collapsed on.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think 100 Thieves had eyes on Berserker when he made that late move on Aphelios. A lot of times, if you're not first to Herald, the Aphelios is just going to stay bottom lane and push the turret. Definitely think that was a little bit of tunnel vision for them. But yeah, overall, like, I do think C9 did play very clean.
Yeah.
I'm with Emily as well that I did like their draft as well, even though technically I think 100 Thieves had a bit more range.
Yeah,
C9 just had so many more ways to access fights, which can cancel out any range advantage you might see from the draft. So this is, I believe, is the play that Blaber was talking about where he got his whole team killed, which was like a slight window maybe for 100 Thieves to make it back into the game. But other than this play, they played immaculate.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we talked about the setup and bot in terms of when Blaber's going in. This is a little too far.
Well, high feet.
This was also, as Jat said, a window for Ssumday to get back in and potentially take over the game if they had been able to pressure sides a little bit better, if maybe they'd been able to get him to flank around some of these objective setups. But I also thought C9 had pretty good setup and paying attention, especially around the Drake.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting for just jungle matchups going forward. The Hecarim early pick, first pick, I think it was.
Yep, I've seen a lot of that.
Yes.
I think it's going to keep
Well,
happening.
Blabber said it in the interview himself, right? Overpowered.
He's
I think
champion.
it's overpowered. We initially saw from Malice, it's a champions queue, constant that and Udyr, and the biggest focus is just constantly the clear speed. The clear speed, you can get on the map much earlier. You are generally like a better scrapper in some cases, and versus Lee Sin early, yeah, you already saw it can be a little rough, but it's just you are basically the Lee Sin or the Xin Zhao, the usual meta junglers are playing to your tune.
Well, I think we're also coming out of the like Xin Sterix Gage meta,
Yeah.
right? Like anyone who can build Gordrick or Sterix is a god in team fights, but like Sterix isn't nearly as good anymore. So the natural like move from that is let's just be a beefier jungler at first.
Sure.
The guys that can go a tank item first, like Hecarim. The clear speed is obviously part of it, but I think it's actually more about the itemization why we're seeing these junglers come in. But I think we're going to see a lot more Hecarim.
I think so too. One other thing we need to touch on before we go is something that Mark said he already knew before this game, and that's that Berserker is good enough to pick up player of the game, particularly when that man has Aphelios.
He is a melee Aphelios.
the rare melee Aphelios.
How does he always have white gun?
That's it. You know what? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm constantly amazed, but when players have the right combo of guns at the right moment, and I think that in and of itself is a skill, right? Whether or not that's just team coordination, right?
Yeah.
Playing to that moment where you have it, or you're cycling effectively individually to make sure that you have it in the moment you need it.
And so for this game, I know 100 Thieves felt pressured after they were falling behind, and a lot of times they just take more fights.
They're doing. They're ping-ponging around right now, man. One win, one loss, one win, one loss.
True. And at times in this game, there are options for them to try and trade sides, but they actively took fights into an Alistar Aphelios that would just obliterate them. So, I mean, they'll look back at this one and figure out how they initially fell behind. But I think the better thing to look for as well is just when you do fall behind, how do you reliably get back into the game without having to, at times, flip fights?
Yeah. Can I just confirm with you real quick? Neither of these teams are the worst team in the league, right?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Okay.
20
That's
kills,
four. That's 4 down.
0 deaths. Berserker on Aphelios this year.
That's a lot of kills and very few deaths, everybody.
He
All
died
right.
6 times on Karthus. How many Aphelios games does he have to play?
Give him as
before
many
he equals the
Aphelios
Karthus
games as
death?
possible.
During the 2022 Spring Split, use your MasterCard to make a purchase from the Incline store and save your card on file to be entered for a chance to win a trip to a League of Legends event or a set of 9 Player of the Week statues and a MasterCard prepaid card. You have until March 5th. That is next Saturday, so 1 week from today to enter. Get it done. When we return, it's our bonus game of League of Legends. Bonus League is the best kind of league. It's EG, it's FlyQuest stepping onto the stage in Game 4 of the day. We'll see you here in just a bit.
John. Shut up.
But Winsome's still dead. No, not yet. Berserker lets it rip, and Summit turns it back around, finds himself a double kill. Now Summit steps forward there. Ssumday trying to go for the 1v1, but Summit looking decent. Abbedagge is going to go in with the flash. Doesn't connect the charm. Summit fighting with Ssumday. Gets the end of that as Berserker runs down FBI. But it's just not enough as Berserker going on a rampage through the back of the team, trying to find the ace. Last shot's good. That's the game for Cloud9. They will move to 6 wins and take down 100 Thieves.
Initializing legendary moments.
Take a look while you can, because if you blink, you'll miss it.
I'm sure you've heard the news.
Gold, gold, and more gold.
Here comes the big play.
Oh, that's
Perfect timing. You can see this one coming.
They get what they need. They got the mid. They got the support. They got the top.
Are they gonna give you some fun League of Legends? Yes, sir.
Welcome to the LCS.
FTX, official cryptocurrency exchange partner of the LCS.
Sequence complete.